In the context of the war in Ukraine, an act of betrayal can be costly, costing hundreds of lives. Recently, Ukraine's security services discovered another traitor working in the country's defense system, marking a dangerous espionage case in a series of similar cases that threaten national security. The exposure of this spy network not only reveals the sophisticated methods used by Russian intelligence agencies to recruit Ukrainian citizens, but also warns of the serious consequences that acts of treason can bring. Anatomy of betrayal. The case of Oleg Kolesnikov starkly illustrates the depth of Russian intelligence penetration into Ukrainian society. A former state land manager from Zaporizhzhia, Kolesnikov's path to betrayal highlights the complex interplay of family ties, ideology, and personal opportunism that can drive some Ukrainians to turn against their homeland. His actions are emblematic of the covert and devastating nature of espionage, which continues to threaten Ukraine's national security. Kolesnikov's betrayal was marked by his collaboration with Russian forces, which included supplying coordinates for military sites and verifying the results of missile strikes in Zaporizhzhia. The most significant of these betrayals occurred in September 2022, when Kolesnikov shared information about a planned meeting at the Sunrise Hotel. This led to a deadly strike that killed one civilian and injured 5 others. His role in this betrayal extended beyond simple intelligence sharing. He provided details on troop movements, checked the outcomes of missile strikes, and even supplied crucial passwords and security information about military checkpoints. The roots of Kolesnikov's actions can be traced back to deep family connections with Russian intelligence. His father, a former Soviet intelligence agent in Cuba during the Cold War, and his cousin, who works with Russian security services, both played roles in shaping his vulnerability to Russian recruitment. This generational link to intelligence work placed Kolesnikov in the category of high-risk individuals, someone already accustomed to covert operations and therefore a prime target for Russian influence. What makes Kolesnikov's betrayal even more profound is the ideological motivation behind his actions. Unlike many individuals who are lured by financial incentives, Kolesnikov was driven by a belief in the Russian world ideology. This doctrine, promoted by Russian President Vladimir Putin, emphasizes the historical and cultural ties between Russia and neighboring countries. Such ideological beliefs, rooted in Soviet-era thinking, have proven effective in recruiting individuals like Kolesnikov, who may still hold strong ties to that past. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, has initiated more than 3,200 cases of state treason. These cases span a range of betrayals, from sharing sensitive information to actively participating in Russian propaganda. According to Vasyl Maluk, the head of the SBU, Russia has been quietly infiltrating Ukraine for decades, recruiting assets long before the current conflict erupted. When confronted about his actions, Kolesnikov claimed that he opposed the Ukrainian government but not Ukraine itself. This distinction is a telling reflection of the complex psychological mechanisms behind his betrayal. It underscores how individuals can rationalize their actions within ideological frameworks, all while minimizing the impact of their decisions on innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The case of Oleg Kolesnikov serves as a chilling reminder of how espionage and betrayal can be intertwined with personal history, ideological beliefs, and the manipulation of one's conscience. Russian recruitment tactics. Russian recruitment tactics target these very vulnerabilities, using a blend of modern technology and traditional espionage techniques. By leveraging social media platforms and financial manipulation, Russian intelligence has created an effective network of informants. As face-to-face recruitment becomes increasingly difficult amid the ongoing conflict, these methods allow Russian agencies to infiltrate Ukrainian society, identifying individuals who may be susceptible to ideological or financial pressures. The intricate web of psychological and social manipulation used in both Kolesnikov's betrayal and Russia's recruitment strategies underscores the dangerous power of such covert operations, which exploit both personal and ideological weaknesses to serve external agendas. A significant part of this recruitment effort is the use of social media platforms, particularly Telegram, where the Russian Military Intelligence Service, GRU, has established a dedicated unit to engage with potential recruits. This digital approach to espionage has grown increasingly common, as it allows Russian agencies to monitor pro-Kremlin comments and reach out to individuals who express sympathetic views toward Russia. By leveraging the anonymity and reach of social media, Russian intelligence has been able to target vulnerable citizens more efficiently. The recruitment process follows a systematic approach, beginning with the identification of potential recruits. Russian agencies typically assess an individual's vulnerabilities, monitoring personal communications, and analyzing any financial or professional difficulties they may be facing. In most cases, the individuals targeted by these efforts are those struggling with financial hardship or personal setbacks. The recruitment process often starts with seemingly casual conversations, either through acquaintances or anonymous social media messages, before progressing to more serious engagements. A core element of this strategy is financial manipulation. Russian intelligence services lure recruits by offering financial incentives, initially promising small sums in cryptocurrency, typically ranging from $50 to $100 for simple tasks. These tasks begin with low-risk activities, such as gathering contact information, tracking vehicle movements, reporting checkpoint locations, and identifying military unit positions. Over time, however, the demands escalate, requiring more dangerous and complex actions. Many recruits are drawn into a cycle where they perform increasingly risky tasks, hoping to receive promised payments, but often find that these payments are never delivered. This financial manipulation is part of a broader strategy used by multiple Russian intelligence organizations, including the Federal Security Service, FSS, the GRU, the Foreign Intelligence Service, SVOR, and regional security ministries in occupied territories. These agencies coordinate their efforts to expand their network of informants, using both financial incentives and psychological manipulation to ensure compliance. One of the most insidious tactics employed by Russian intelligence is the targeting of families of Ukrainian prisoners of war. In exchange for cooperation, these families are offered information about their captured relatives, further exploiting their emotional vulnerabilities. This practice highlights the extent to which Russian intelligence services are willing to manipulate and recruit individuals, combining both financial pressures and emotional manipulation to create a network of informants. Overall, the recruitment methods used by Russian intelligence are a testament to the evolving nature of modern espionage. By combining social media infiltration, financial incentives, and emotional manipulation, Russian agencies have created a complex and effective system for compromising individuals and gathering intelligence, all while taking advantage of the hardships faced by many Ukrainians during the ongoing conflict. Intelligence gathering methods. Russian intelligence services have developed a highly sophisticated network for collecting critical military information, leveraging both traditional espionage tactics and cutting-edge technology. This network has proven to be effective in infiltrating Ukrainian society, with agents tasked with gathering and verifying sensitive data crucial to Russian military operations. Recent investigations by the Security Service of Ukraine have exposed the intricate methods employed by these recruited agents, revealing the depth of Russian intelligence penetration within Ukrainian borders. The synergy between recruitment and intelligence gathering demonstrates the effectiveness of Russian operations, where individual betrayal feeds directly into larger strategic goals. One of the primary focuses of these intelligence operations is military site surveillance. Russian agents are tasked with gathering tactical intelligence on a range of military-related subjects, including the locations and movements of military equipment, the strength and positioning of Ukrainian forces, the placement of defense systems, vulnerabilities in infrastructure, and even troop morale and preparedness. These operations combine traditional observation methods with modern technology, allowing the Russian Federal Security Service and the main directorate of the General Staff to gather valuable operational and tactical information to aid in missile strike planning and execution. The coordination of missile strikes is a particularly critical aspect of Russian intelligence operations. Recruited agents play a key role in identifying potential targets, verifying coordinates, and confirming strike results. In one case, an agent provided information about a planned meeting at the Sunrise Hotel in Zaporizhia, which resulted in a missile strike causing civilian casualties. This process typically involves three key stages: identifying initial targets, verifying coordinates through multiple sources, and assessing the damage following the strike. These precise steps ensure that missile attacks hit their intended targets with maximum efficiency. To ensure the accuracy of the information they collect, Russian intelligence services have implemented a rigorous verification system. Agents are required to provide photographic evidence of targets, submit real-time location data, and verify the results of missile strikes by visiting the sites themselves. Secure communication is crucial in this process, with agents using anonymous messenger apps and encrypted email systems to transmit sensitive information. In some cases, the SPU has documented agents visiting multiple strike locations to confirm results, which ultimately led to their capture. Russian intelligence services place particular value on gathering information about specific military assets. This includes air defense facilities, electronic warfare systems, military airfields, and the deployment of advanced weaponry, such as F-16 fighter jets. The intelligence gathered on these critical assets is used to fine-tune Russian military strategy and enhance the effectiveness of their attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure. The effectiveness of these intelligence operations has spurred the SPU to ramp up its counterintelligence efforts. Recently, the SPU successfully exposed 12 Russian agents and their informants operating across 5 regions of Ukraine. These revelations highlight the scale of Russia's intelligence network within Ukrainian borders, underscoring the ongoing threat posed by espionage operations in the context of the ongoing conflict. The exposure of these agents serves as a stark reminder of the complex and deeply entrenched nature of Russian intelligence efforts aimed at destabilizing Ukraine. Impact on Ukrainian security. The betrayal of Ukrainian citizens has had devastating consequences for the nation's security, as traitors have provided crucial intelligence that enabled precise Russian strikes against both military and civilian targets. This espionage has severely compromised Ukraine's defense efforts, with the Security Service of Ukraine identifying more than 650 security officials under investigation for suspected treason. Among them, 60 active collaborators are working in occupied territories, further undermining Ukraine's stability during the ongoing conflict. The human cost of these betrayals has been profound, particularly in urban areas where civilians have borne the brunt of targeted attacks. In Zaporizhzhia, for instance, intelligence leaked by turncoats led to a devastating missile strike on the Sunrise Hotel, resulting in 1 civilian death and 5 injuries. Beyond direct casualties, the exposure of sensitive military positions, including air defense systems, has left civilian areas vulnerable to sustained attacks. This exploitation of Ukrainian weaknesses has intensified the threat to civilians who are now caught in the crossfire of a highly coordinated assault. The impact on Ukraine's military defenses has been equally severe. Russian intelligence networks have specifically targeted key assets, including air defense system locations, secret military airfields, electronic warfare facilities, and sites where F-16 fighter jets were deployed. The exposure of these critical military assets has directly contributed to the success of Russian missile strikes, undermining Ukraine's defensive capabilities. The SBU has uncovered major spy networks operating across 5 strategic regions: Zaporizhzhia, Kharkiv, Sumy, Mykolaiv, and Odessa, each of which has seen significant compromise of military infrastructure. These networks have not only provided intelligence but, in some cases, have also verified strike results in real time, further amplifying the damage. The scale of infrastructure destruction resulting from these betrayals has been staggering. Assessments of the damage revealed a total cost of $137.8 billion, with housing stock alone suffering a loss of $54 billion. Critical infrastructure, including roads, energy systems, and communication networks, has been severely damaged, with a cost of $35.6 billion. Industrial assets have also been targeted, resulting in $13 billion in losses. The destruction has extended to 149,300 residential buildings, over 3,000 educational institutions, more than 330 hospitals, and 595 administrative buildings. The toll on Ukraine's infrastructure goes far beyond immediate damage, affecting its long-term security and resilience. As the SBU works to combat these betrayals, counterintelligence efforts have intensified. The agency has exposed 47 Russian agent networks in the previous year and another 46 this year, underscoring the scale of Russian intelligence operations within Ukraine. Despite these efforts, the ongoing risk posed by espionage continues to threaten Ukraine's national security, with the full extent of the damage likely to be felt for years to come. SBU counterintelligence operations. To address this ongoing threat, the SBU has developed a highly sophisticated approach to counterintelligence. Under the leadership of Vasyl Maluk, the agency has strategically targeted Russian agents operating across multiple sectors, employing a comprehensive and multi-layered strategy that blends traditional espionage techniques with modern technology. This approach has proven effective in identifying and neutralizing espionage threats, allowing the SBU to stay one step ahead in the fight against foreign infiltration. However, as the scale of Russian operations continues to grow, the SBU's efforts to protect Ukraine's sovereignty remain as crucial as ever. A key component of the SBU's operations is its surveillance strategy, which uses both time-tested techniques and modern innovations. Agents track and monitor vehicles, intercept communications, and strategically place surveillance devices in key locations. They also collect witness testimony and track mobile phone locations to gather intelligence. In one significant case, the SBU planted a listening device in a suspect's car, which led to the discovery of crucial evidence about planned espionage activities. The success of these methods was further demonstrated when agents traced a suspect's phone to multiple missile strike impact sites, connecting the individual to Russian intelligence operations. In addition to physical surveillance, the SBU has refined its digital investigation capabilities, recognizing the growing importance of cyber intelligence in modern espionage. The agency utilizes advanced forensic techniques to collect and preserve digital evidence, authenticate content, and analyze geolocations in photographs and videos. Facial recognition software and timeline reconstruction of digital communications further enhance the agency's ability to track and pinpoint suspects. The SBU is particularly focused on encrypted messaging apps, like Telegram, which are frequently used by Russian handlers to communicate with their agents. Digital evidence has proven to be an invaluable tool in complex cases, providing reliable and probative conclusions that strengthen the SBU's investigations. When it comes to arresting suspects, the SBU follows meticulously planned procedures designed to ensure the highest chance of success while minimizing risks to the operation. These procedures involve gathering conclusive evidence through surveillance, coordinating with local law enforcement, and executing synchronized raids. Agents also secure digital devices and communication equipment during the arrests, ensuring that the evidence is preserved for legal proceedings. The agency's proactive approach has led to the exposure of 11 Russian agent networks since the beginning of 2024 alone, with numerous agents arrested across multiple regions in Ukraine. In 2023, the SBU successfully dismantled 47 Russian spy networks, apprehending all identified traitor for infiltration of Ukraine's critical infrastructure and cyberspace. To maintain the integrity of its operations, the SBU has implemented rigorous internal security measures. These include regular interrogations and lie detector tests for personnel, ensuring that the agency itself is not compromised by internal threats. This thorough approach has dramatically reduced the risk of Russian infiltration, marking a significant improvement over earlier periods when such compromises were more common. The SBU's success in dismantling spy networks and preventing espionage activities highlights the agency's effectiveness in safeguarding Ukraine's national security during a time of heightened vulnerability. Legal consequences. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, treason prosecutions have reached unprecedented levels, with over 3,200 state treason cases launched by Ukrainian authorities. The legal system has adapted to handle this surge, implementing stricter measures and expanding the definition of treasonous activities to cover a broad range of actions that undermine national security. These cases are typically centered on actions such as providing military intelligence to enemy forces, coordinating missile strikes on civilian infrastructure, spreading Russian propaganda, assisting occupation authorities, and supporting separatist movements. The prosecution of treason has become a high priority issue under martial law, with suspects facing severe consequences, including life imprisonment and property confiscation. The Security Service of Ukraine has documented a sharp increase in investigations, particularly those involving the sharing of critical information with Russian intelligence services. This heightened focus reflects Ukraine's determination to root out espionage and betrayal during a time of war. Military courts primarily handle treason cases, conducting trials in closed sessions to safeguard sensitive national security information. The judicial process is tightly controlled, with suspects detained in specialized facilities, evidence presented in secure environments, and limited public access to the proceedings. Under martial law, defendants' rights to legal representation are restricted, and they are often held in isolation. The conviction rate for treason cases is exceptionally high, with most defendants found guilty. Sentencing for treason varies depending on the severity of the betrayal, with the Ukrainian justice system imposing stringent punishments. For the most severe offenses, such as sharing military intelligence with enemy forces, life imprisonment is the standard sentence. Coordinating missile strikes on critical infrastructure carries sentences ranging from 15 to 25 years, while disseminating propaganda or assisting occupation authorities typically results in prison terms of 12 to 15 years. Notable cases, such as that of Oleg Kolesnikov, who received a life sentence for coordinating missile strikes, highlight the seriousness of these offenses. Kolesnikov's accomplice, Kusakin, was sentenced to 15 years, with multiple cases also resulting in the confiscation of property alongside prison terms. The Ukrainian General Prosecutor's Office has charged high-profile individuals, including members of parliament and former officials, with sentences reaching up to 15 years under various articles of the Criminal Code. Among the most severely prosecuted activities are military site surveillance and missile strike coordination, which are considered among the most damaging forms of treason. In determining sentences, judges consider several factors, including the extent of the damage to national security, the number of civilian casualties, the value of compromised military assets, the level of cooperation with investigators, and the defendant's criminal history. These sentencing guidelines reflect Ukraine's commitment not only to punishing those who betray the nation but also to deterring future acts of treason. By enforcing strict legal consequences, the Ukrainian justice system aims to uphold national security during the ongoing conflict with Russia, sending a clear message that betrayal will be met with the full force of the law. Prevention strategies. In response to the growing threat of internal betrayal, Ukrainian authorities have rolled out comprehensive strategies aimed at prevention, combining public education with enhanced security measures. A key element of these efforts is the United Help Ukraine's awareness, advocacy, and community engagement campaign, which has become a central part of the national response to the increasing risk of espionage and internal threats. The Ukrainian government has launched various public awareness initiatives to educate its citizens about the dangers of foreign recruitment and manipulation. These programs include cultural events, fundraisers, speaking engagements, community outreach programs, educational tours, and digital literacy workshops. Through these efforts, authorities aim to raise awareness about the risks of foreign influence and to encourage individuals to report any suspicious contact. The Security Service of Ukraine, SPU, has also emphasized that those approached by Russian operatives should immediately contact the authorities, assuring that they will be treated as victims rather than traitors if they report such encounters promptly. In parallel with these educational efforts, the SPU has established a multi-tiered security framework to prevent infiltration and identify potential threats. Security measures are particularly stringent in areas near Russian-occupied territories, where more than 650 Ukrainian security officials have been investigated for suspected treason. The security protocols are categorized by the level of threat, with military installations under 24/7 monitoring, government facilities undergoing regular inspections, public infrastructure being periodically checked, and civilian areas relying on community reporting. These protocols focus on areas especially vulnerable to Russian recruitment, including regions where Russian agents have previously attempted to infiltrate defense installations. Community vigilance has become a critical element in identifying and addressing potential security threats. The SPU encourages citizens to report any unusual activities, including suspicious photography of military installations, contacts on social media, unexplained financial offers, or requests for sensitive information. Recent successes in preventing espionage have highlighted the effectiveness of community involvement, particularly when reports from civilians led to the discovery of Russian recruitment operations that targeted Ukrainian minors through seemingly harmless quest games. These operations were designed to gather intelligence about military sites under the guise of entertainment. Ukrainian authorities have also intensified efforts to counter Russian disinformation campaigns. Recognizing that the Kremlin has long used propaganda to advance its objectives, the government has focused on providing regular updates and strategies for identifying and limiting the spread of false information, especially on social media platforms where Russian operatives are most active. Additionally, the government has implemented specialized programs targeting youth education and patriotic development. These initiatives aim to counter Russian influence operations that specifically target younger generations. By fostering a sense of national identity and enhancing awareness of security threats, these programs work to build resilience against manipulation, promoting critical thinking and informed decision-making among youth. Security experts stress that prevention requires constant vigilance and adaptation to evolving threats. The SPU has documented cases where Russian intelligence services attempted to exploit vulnerable groups, such as families of prisoners of war, using sophisticated psychological manipulation techniques. In response, targeted support programs have been developed to assist high-risk groups and mitigate the potential for exploitation. The recent success in preventing betrayal can largely be attributed to the increased cooperation between security services and local communities. When citizens report suspicious contacts early, authorities are able to intervene before significant damage occurs. The SPU has reported that such early intervention has successfully prevented numerous potential cases of treason, particularly in areas near the front lines or in regions bordering occupied territories, highlighting the importance of community involvement in national security efforts. Broader implications. The exposure of traitors within Ukraine's security apparatus has triggered significant changes in both domestic and international security landscapes, especially with the FSB's involvement in Ukraine. This has led to the most profound transformation of Russian security services since the Soviet era, impacting Russia's domestic control and intelligence operations. Nationally, the FSB's activities include widespread surveillance, mass interrogations, and the establishment of filtration facilities in occupied territories. These efforts have infiltrated Ukraine's highest security levels, drastically altering its national security landscape. Internationally, this discovery has prompted European nations, including the Baltic states and Finland, to adopt stronger counter-espionage measures. This has led to the expulsion of Russian intelligence officers, increased arrests, and enhanced intelligence sharing among European allies. In response, Ukraine is focusing on developing more sophisticated defense mechanisms, particularly in cyber defense, counter-espionage, infrastructure protection, and disinformation prevention. While cyber operations are crucial, their impact has been supportive rather than decisive. Security sector reforms are also underway, including strengthening the Ministry of Defense, enhancing military justice, and providing greater support to veterans. Ukraine's security strategy now emphasizes resilience and adaptation to both traditional espionage and modern hybrid warfare, particularly disinformation campaigns. With growing risks of foreign influence, Ukraine's ability to reform its security sector will be crucial for its aspirations of NATO and EU membership, requiring international cooperation and long-term strategic support. In conclusion, Ukraine's experience serves as a vital lesson for democratic nations grappling with internal and external security threats. The nation's proactive approach to strengthening counterintelligence operations, enhancing public awareness, and fostering community vigilance has proven essential in protecting national security. As geopolitical tensions continue to rise globally, Ukraine's strategies provide a blueprint for other countries to safeguard their sovereignty and resilience. How do you think these lessons can be applied to enhance security in other parts of the world facing similar challenges?